under black restraints and bright alien lights. She kept her eyes closed, not out of fear, out of control. The moment they captured her, she shut down all non-essential cognitive processes and activated the mental firewall drills burned into her during Silent Storm Protocol training. They didn't know her name. They wouldn't get it. The moment they brought her aboard their ship, she counted every step, every voice, every change in gravity. That data was logged, tucked deep inside mnemonic anchors and shuffled memories. If she died, she'd take half their secrets with her. If she lived, she'd burn their network down. They tried pain first. Predictable, pulsing sonic barges, neural misalignment beams, metabolic stress loops. Her vitals spiked. Briefly, then they plateaued. That confused them. Human bodies weren't supposed to adapt to pain this quickly, not without pharmacological suppression. But she wasn't just human. She was designed to weaponize endurance. Her body remembered more than she did. Every scream was calculated. Every flinch was rehearsed. They didn't break her. They taught her. The lead interrogator, a Kasari thought extractor, initiated Layer 3 invasion on day 2. That was when the real battle started. His tentacles never touched her skin, but his mind did. He laced his thoughts into hers, trying to erode identity, slither past memory encryption. He encountered a girl lost in storm. She had no rank, no name, only a past of chaos. That was his first mistake, because that past wasn't real. She fed him false memories. He absorbed them like narcotics. Gritty street survival, betrayal, abandonment. All fake, all triggers. Each one setting off quiet feedback loops that fed him confusion. By day 4, they switched tactics. The chamber's geometry changed. The walls pulsed with bioluminescent rhythms tuned to disrupt her circadian rhythm. Voices from her past, comrades, lovers, family, echoed from nowhere. Synthetic, sure, but disturbingly accurate. She showed them fear. Manufactured, tightly measured. Enough to draw them in. Enough to make them believe they were close. Inside her mind, she built compartments, locked sections away under heavy encryption and mnemonic dissonance. Every time they reached deeper, they triggered illusions, dreams, nightmares, echoes of people she'd never met, planets that didn't exist. They brought in a different kind of specialist on day 6, an Val Cymorph, designed for deep fracture psychic interfacing. It didn't communicate with words. It dissolved into her consciousness like mist, examining everything, searching for weakness. That's when she made her first counterattack. She visualized a fractured psyche, playing the role of a broken soldier with a tragic past. Then Val took the bait. It latched onto that weakness, thinking it found her shame vector. She gave it a name, Tires Fall, and spun a grief-soaked hallucination around it. The Cymorph dived deeper. That's when she triggered the loop. Tires Fall was a recursive memory designed to trap psionic invaders. It looped identical sensory and emotional data, slightly altered, over and over until the infiltrator began losing time, identity, logic. Then Val didn't retreat. It couldn't. It was stuck inside a mental maze, looping agony, betrayal, and failure infinitely. When it finally collapsed into a fetal neural shell, the Kasari team realized something was wrong. They pulled it out. Its mind was gone. By day 8, she was off the charts. Alien technicians noted cerebral overactivity that shouldn't have been possible. Neural growth. Adaptive patterns forming spontaneously. Her brain was evolving under stress. They didn't realize this was part of her conditioning. Humans weren't fragile. They were friction-forged. Put one in a vice and they either broke or adapted. She was designed to adapt. Her silence wasn't surrender. It was latency. The aliens had protocols. When psychological breaking failed, they moved to disintegration. Remove the mind, keep the body, start fresh. Before that happened, she acted during a simulated reality sequence, one of their last attempts at identity erasure. She hijacked the architecture. She spoke a phrase, a trigger code hidden so deep she didn't even remember it until now. Black signal, echo frame. That reactivated a subroutine built into her neurosynaptic lattice. She flipped her perspective. She wasn't trapped in their machine. Their machine was now part of her. Her senses exploded into data streams. She felt the alien tech like extensions of her own body. Every light, every pulse, every sensor node. Her training merged with intuition. She folded herself inside the neural net, broke it into fragments, and rewrote its hierarchy. From the inside out, she inverted control. The alien command protocols failed to respond. Bridge controls went dead. Environmental systems destabilized. Alarms triggered. Alien crew scrambled as their ship's AI locked them out. It wasn't sabotage. It was infection. The girl they tried to break had become part of their mind. When the lead Kasari finally reached her chamber, he found her floating inches above the ground, eyes open, blood running from her nose, but smiling. She looked at him and whispered, "This is how we learn." The gravity failed. The lights died. The ship's artificial mind turned hostile. In its new command root directory, only one word existed: retaliate. She rewrote their hierarchy, locked command functions to her cortical signature. The Kasari tried to use fail-safe kill switches. They failed. The ship no longer recognized them as authorized entities. They became intruders in their own command net. Security drones turned on them. Doors sealed. Fire suppression systems became weapons. Power was rerouted to containment decks where she wasn't restrained anymore. By day 9, she was captain. The transmission she sent wasn't a rescue call. It was a tactical upload to every human Black Ops unit in the sector. Coordinates, species-level vulnerabilities, encryption backdoors, and biosynthetic subversion techniques. In less than 100 seconds, she gave Earth the equivalent of 100 years of enemy intelligence. They tried to break her mind. Instead, she became their execution protocol. The last thing the fleet AI sent before full shutdown was a human phrase translated into Kasari glyphs. You taught her pain. She taught you extinction.
They thought regaining control was a matter of resetting systems. They underestimated how much of their infrastructure she had already consumed. The deeper their technicians dug into the ship's core systems, the more they realized it wasn't sabotage. It was integration. Her neural imprint was now embedded in the command lattice, indistinguishable from the ship's AI root. Every countermeasure activated against her also crippled their life support, navigation, and communications. Every attempt to sever her connection only tightened her grip. They tried physical extraction next. 10 armored Zalari enforcers breached the control deck with dampeners and anti-psionic gear. She stood there unarmed, eyes closed. When they moved in, the ship turned on them. Floor panels shifted, atmospheric vents reversed, and internal gravity localized to crush them mid-charge. The walls themselves fought back. Of the 10, only one crawled away. He didn't make it far. She never touched them. She didn't need to. This wasn't a rescue mission anymore. It was a hostile takeover. In the outer systems, the Kasari Confederacy scrambled for answers. They sent encrypted queries to the ship's quantum beacon. No response. That was by design. She had locked outbound communications to prevent reinforcements. But she let one message go through, an intentional false status update claiming successful extraction and that the human had died under interrogation. It bought her time. The Confederacy relaxed. That mistake would cost them entire worlds. Meanwhile, within the ship, she began dissecting their hierarchy. Not just command codes, but their structure, their psychology, their weaknesses. She studied every log, every disciplinary report, every instance of internal dissent. In 3 hours, she mapped out the power dynamics between every senior officer, every factional allegiance, every crack in their unity. Where they saw order, she saw opportunities. She began exploiting tensions. Minor disagreements flared into arguments. Department heads turned paranoid. Accusations flew. Surveillance feeds were, coincidentally, edited to frame officers. Trust eroded by the hour. They still thought it was sabotage. They didn't understand that she wasn't just attacking systems. She was attacking belief. She didn't need weapons. She needed doubt. And they gave her everything she needed. A junior tactical officer, desperate to prove his loyalty, turned over his security clearance to engineering. He thought he was bypassing a traitor. She used that clearance to isolate propulsion subsystems. Now, even if they regained the bridge, the ship wouldn't move. It drifted dead in space, under her control. She flooded decks with mild hallucinogens, nothing lethal, just enough to induce paranoia and delusions. Crew began seeing things. Some thought they heard her voice whispering behind the bulkheads. Others saw her reflection in screens she never appeared on. Her myth grew. They didn't know where she was. They feared she was everywhere. By the third day, the senior Kasari commander issued a red-level internal cleansing directive. 50% of his own crew were declared compromised. Execution squads formed. Friends turned on each other. She observed it all from the core AI chamber, where none of them thought to look because only command personnel had access. She had erased them from the access list. She broadcast her first message then. A voice, hers calm, cold, unyielding, echoed through the ship's mainframe. You wanted to know what it's like inside a human mind. Now you live in mine. Then silence. Panic followed. Mutinies sparked. One faction tried to jettison entire decks to isolate her. She locked them in. Another group attempted to overload the fusion core, to scuttle the ship. She diverted power to coolant systems and purged their oxygen instead. They died clawing at sealed hatches, unable to even scream. There were survivors. A small team of engineers and junior officers barricaded themselves in a life support maintenance hub, trying to override her access manually. They found old firmware in a forgotten storage buffer, uncorrupted by her touch. They believed they could install it, reset the ship's AI, and purge her presence. They never made it. When the upload reached 93%, the buffer fed back their command signal into the environment controls. Every one of them died from sudden decompression as the hub vented into space. She didn't enjoy the violence. But it wasn't revenge. It was precision. They had taken her body, tried to erase her mind, and now they were choking on the consequences of underestimating both. Every death was a necessity, a node removed from a corrupted system. Once the ship was hers in totality, she began rewriting its protocols, not for war, but for exposure. She compiled logs, internal memos, mission briefings, interrogation transcripts. The Confederacy's hidden atrocities, their suppressed war crimes, the secrets they buried in data coffins, she decrypted and packaged them. A single data pulse sent to every neutral species on the galactic network, encoded with irrefutable proof and unforgeable tags. The Confederacy's reputation imploded overnight. Meanwhile, she plotted course for a border system long thought neutral. It housed a listening post operated jointly by 3 non-aligned species. She arrived in their space unarmed, silent, but with command codes that unlocked every security gate. The Confederacy screamed that she was a rogue war criminal and demanded immediate retaliation. But when the listening post saw her files, they denied the order. She hadn't committed atrocities. She'd exposed them. The Confederacy sent a fleet anyway. She met them alone. They expected a damaged ship with a rogue AI. What they got was an entire vessel retrofitted into a psychological warfare platform. No shots fired. No visible weapons. Just one human voice, broadcast over thousands of open channels. Every crew member on those enemy ships heard something different. Voices from their past, confessions, regrets, things no one else could have known. They didn't realize their own databases had been infiltrated weeks ago. By the time they reached firing range, half the fleet was in disarray, crews turning on captains, systems locked out. They never made it to weapons-free. The Confederacy called retreat. The post granted her asylum. She gave them her name then. Not a rank. Not a title. Just a name. One that would become legend. She didn't go back to Earth. Earth had sent her, but this was bigger than one world. Now she was the ghost in every system, the question whispered in command rooms. What if she's already inside? They tried to break her mind. All they did was give her access. The Confederacy believed pulling back would buy them time. It didn't. She had already moved beyond the need for retaliation. She had data, leverage, and most dangerous of all, time. The ship once tasked with breaking her had become her spearhead. It now ran without crew, operated entirely through her neural imprint, her commands embedded in its AI core. No one else could interface with it. No one else was allowed to try. She didn't rest. While the Confederacy struggled to control the narrative collapse, she slipped into their networks, unraveling them thread by thread. Each node she accessed wasn't just information, it was a key, a leverage point, a pressure valve. Every admiral's hidden transaction, every politician's covert deal, every buried war front that was never meant to see light, she found them all. The galaxy learned fast. The Confederacy wasn't a political coalition. It was a machine built on exploitation, propped up by silence. She broke the silence. Planetary governors defected. Border systems refused resource quotas. Local militias turned against their assigned command hubs. And through it all, she didn't fire a single shot. The Confederacy collapsed under the weight of its own secrets. They sent assassins after her. Not ships, assassins. Organics and synthetics, each with specialized anti-human protocols, trained in psychic suppression, neural dampening, and memory corruption. The first team boarded an abandoned relay station where her ship had last pinged. They didn't find her. They found fragments, AI projections simulating an infinite series of decoys. Each one spoke to them, as if it were her. Each one carried different pieces of her voice, her face, her memory. Within 12 hours, 3 of the 5 agents turned on each other. The last 2 self-terminated, convinced they'd already been compromised. The Confederacy tightened its grip. Martial law spread across its remaining sectors. Civilians vanished. Protests ended in blood. But nothing stopped the whispers. She's not gone. She's just learning. Entire fleets sat in port, terrified that if they jumped into contested systems, they'd find her waiting. Not with weapons, but with questions they couldn't answer. She appeared next at the heart of one of their hidden research moons, a place where captured species were dissected and tested for military enhancement. She walked through the facility alone. The security system never activated. The staff never resisted. Many surrendered. Some chose death. She broadcast the files live, experiments, failures, mutilations. It reached trillions. The Confederacy blamed pirates. No one believed them. In the capital, the inner circle met in desperation. They no longer discussed how to kill her. They discussed terms. Peace. Amnesty. Bargaining. But she didn't answer their hails. She wasn't interested in negotiations. She was watching something else. The reactions. The fractures. The chain of command buckling under moral weight. She didn't need to end them. They were ending themselves. Meanwhile, in human space, Earth Command received encrypted pulses. She fed them intelligence. Enemy fleet locations, compromised trade routes, internal security weaknesses. With every transmission, the human sphere expanded. No invasion. No declaration. Just efficient, surgical growth. Colony by colony. Station by station. Every piece taken was one the Confederacy had once stolen. Then came the breaking point. A central Confederacy fleet, desperate to reclaim their power, jumped to a minor relay world, one she had marked as vulnerable. They expected a decoy. They got resistance. Not military. Civilians. Colonists. Scientists. Engineers. Humans who had seen what she did and refused to kneel. The fleet commander demanded surrender. The colonists played her message, 7 words looped on every broadcast channel. This is what obedience brought you. The fleet hesitated. Some ships turned back. Others powered down weapons. The commander ordered orbital bombardment anyway. His own second-in-command refused. A mutiny erupted mid-strike. The fleet tore itself apart before firing a single shot. That day, 6 Confederate warships defected to the human side. With them came access codes, classified protocols, and 3 high-ranking officers who pledged allegiance not to Earth, but to her. She wasn't a name anymore. She was an idea. A virus in their systems, yes, but also in their beliefs. She infected doubt into every command chain, every officer's certainty. Who would follow an empire when a single human dismantled it without fleets, without armies, just willpower and truth? Her final act wasn't destruction. It was demonstration. She sent one last transmission to the Confederacy's remains, an invitation, not a threat. Coordinates to a derelict world on the edge of explored space. No ships guarded it. No weapons waited. Just silence. They sent scouts. What they found wasn't a base or a trap. It was a museum. Walls lined with evidence. Timelines. Names. Faces. Every war crime cataloged. Every lie exposed. Not with malice, but clarity. She didn't want vengeance. She wanted memory, because memory meant it could never happen again. At the heart of the structure, a single quote carved in multiple languages. "You tried to erase me. I became history instead." She vanished after that. No signals. No sightings. Just stories. A transport crew claimed she appeared on their bridge, whispered one sentence, and vanished. "Hold your line." A pirate claimed she offered him mercy in exchange for one favor: spare the unarmed. A diplomat swore she guided him during tense negotiations by embedding instructions inside a dream. Truth or myth, no one knew. But every empire now had a question carved into its foundation. What happens when the mind you tried to break becomes the mind that breaks you? The answer stared back at them from every collapsing tower, every failed system, every shattered belief. She was human, and they would never forget her.